Now, more anti-racism protests have been held across the United Kingdom as part of the Black Lives Matter movement. The latest wave started in the US after the killing of George Floyd 3 weeks ago, but since had spread around the world. One of those to take part was Rose Hudson-Wilkin, the Bishop of Dover and the first black woman bishop in the Church of England's history. Just have a quick listen to some of what she had to say yesterday.
Racism is a pandemic. It is a pandemic. And we have been dying. We have been dying in so many ways. And we have been dying in a way that slowly has also killed the next generation. You can put a stop to it. We can put a stop to it. So please, let's do that, and let's do it peacefully.
We just had a little, pleased to say that we're now joined by Rose Hudson-Wilkin. Thank you very much for being on the programme, Miss Hudson-Wilkin. What made you decide to speak out at the protest yesterday?
You know, these were young people who had organized this protest march, and I felt that the church, I needed to be there with them. I couldn't let them do this on my behalf or on their own. We needed to stand peacefully together.
You compared racism to coronavirus, saying we've been dying in a way that slowly has also killed the next generation. Do you think the UK is a racist country?
Do you know, I would be lying if I did not say that racism exists in this country as it exists in other countries too. This is not a UK thing. This is not an America thing. This is a world thing. People who are Black have been experiencing this kind of injustice for such a long time. And it is about time now, as we move into this century, for us all to say that this is unacceptable. This is what is unacceptable. And we must no longer collude with our silence or pretend it doesn't matter to me. I'm all right, Jack. We are not all right if one part of humanity is not okay.
Is there anything specifically that you would like to see happen as a result of the protests that we've seen?
Yes, what I want to see is the kind of social transformation, breaking down structural racism. I want every institution to look at itself. I want them to ask questions like, why have we not got people of all different backgrounds, cultural backgrounds, in leadership within these institutions? You see, for too long, we have been content in our organizations, in our institutions, and taken it for granted that Black people, we can do the cleaning, we can do the work in the kitchen, but we cannot sit at the table. For too long, we have looked at Black people and said, actually, they don't have leadership qualities. No, enough is enough. We are just as good as anyone else. And as Al Sharpton said in one of his memorial addresses, the world has had its knees on our necks, preventing us from breathing, preventing the very life that God has given us from rising and thriving. Enough is enough. So I want government, please, no more reports. I want action. And the people who are protesting, Black and white, if you look at the groups protesting, this is not a Black thing. The whole community is saying enough is enough. I want your organization. I want the media generally. I want every institution, including the church, to ask the questions and to make it right.
Some pretty powerful words there and some soul-searching that I think needs to go on for many of us. You mentioned the church there. Now that John Sentamu, the former Archbishop of York, has stepped down, the 5 most senior people in the church are all white. Is that acceptable?
It is not acceptable. And, I love the church of which I am a part, but I am not going to sit here and tell you that it's all right. It is not okay. And so we too, as the church, we must examine ourselves. And it is not good enough for us to make pronouncements about other organizations, we too must examine ourselves. And can I just very briefly also say, one of the things I've heard being said is that our generation cannot make statements about what happened in the past. We cannot speak for or judge the past by our standards. You know, I wonder if we're really hearing what we're saying, because in effect, what we're saying is we're saying something about the moral impoverishment of those who have gone before us, that they would have thought it was okay to put up statues and applaud people who had committed acts of violence against humanity. So we are right today to say that shouldn't happen. I personally don't want those plaques to be taken away. I want those statues to be taken away. I would love to see a plaque written up that tells the true story so that history can really be told in the right way. You take it away and it gets forgotten for just the privileged few who is able to go into a museum. So that's just my take on that particular aspect. But we have a right today to make statements about things that has happened in the past. Why? Because it is actually impacting on us today. Do you know what people say to me? I've had letters of people telling me if I don't like what's happening in this country, to go home. And they've also said, look at you people, look how you're knifing each other. Let me tell you something. Let me tell this to all of Britain. The reason why we're having those situations on our streets is because for too long, our children have been told that they are of no worth, that they have no value, and they have begun to believe this for themselves. And that is why they have been destroying themselves. We need to change. Our society need to change. And we need to be the change that we want to see. So I applaud those who are peacefully standing up to say we want a different world to live in.
Just finally, you've been a trailblazer yourself, really. You were the first female black bishop. You ordained as a priest in 1994, just a month after it was possible for women to do so. And you've spoken a little bit about some racism that you've experienced yourself, saying people rejected you, for example, for doing their funerals because you were black. What kind of experiences have you had, and what advice would you give to others who may be experiencing racism in their own lives?
I want to tell you that I'm lucky that I was born and brought up in Jamaica, because growing up there, who I am was cemented. I knew I was somebody. So when I came to this country and people tried to treat me as if I was a nobody, I knew that they were wrong. Now you contrast that with someone who is born and brought up here, who do not have images of themselves in all walks of life. They don't know that they are a child of God, and actually they don't need to internalize that. And so I would say to those who are experiencing racism in a way that impacts on their lives, that, you know, I long for them to know that they are special, that they are human, and not to internalize other people's negativity. It belongs to them. They need to be healed from it too. Do not become a victim. It is their problem. Unfortunately, it impacts on us, but we need to find a way that we can show our resilience. And I come from a people who are resilient. As Black people, we are resilient. When you think of all that's happened to us in our history, and yet we can still smile, we can still sing, we can still stand. Our rhythm, our dance will not be taken away from us. We will still stand and we will seek justice, but not just justice for one group of people, but justice for all, because that is how we're going to live in harmony with one another, Black and white, pink and blue, young and old, together.
Thank you so much. Some really powerful words there, as usual. Rose Hudson-Wilkin, thank you for being on the programme.
Thank you.